Economy Committee has been looking into the issue of low pay in London, particularly in the context of the Mayor's pledge to make the London living wage the norm in London by 2020. We know that in London, as elsewhere, wages in the UK have been falling in real terms in recent years. In particular, the national minimum wage hasn't kept up with prices or indeed living costs over the last few years. And therefore we have seen an increase in the number of people in in-work poverty. And in London, where living costs are so much higher than the rest of the country, the national minimum wage has never really been sufficient to cover living costs anyway. Well, there are particular sectors of London's economy that are particularly prevalent in terms of low pay, in particular areas like retail sector, hospitality and catering, the cleaning sector, and particularly the social care sector. Well, what we found was that although there's an ambition for the London living wage to be the norm in London by 2020, and some good progress has been made in terms of signing up a number of employers to be accredited living wage employers, despite that efforts, in the key low-pay sectors of the economy, very little progress has actually been made. There are a few examples, but none of the big players have signed up and been accredited as living wage players. And so much more needs to be done if we're going to get anywhere near the living wage being the norm by 2020. And we came out with a number of recommendations how we could use public sector procurement and other major company procurement exercises in order to drive up the uptake of the living wage, and also to use things like the landlord-tenant relationship that many organisations have to drive the uptake of the living wage. And finally, for particularly the public sector and other supporters of living wage policies to use their investment decisions to drive up uptake of the living wage policy. So there's a range of areas where we think more levers can be pulled to make this happen, particularly areas like retail, social care, catering, hospitality and so on, where low pay is endemic. Without tackling those issues, and the Mayor needs to do far more to tackle low pay in those areas, he simply will not achieve his target of making the living wage the norm in the capital by 2020.